It is Wednesday morning. We're about to do total body bar, followed by yoga this morning. That's this morning's lineup before outside it later on in Devizes and Marlborough. So, before I jump on and answer a question that I had yesterday, which was, what's the best type of exercise to lose weight? Someone had just asked about what we do in the Kickstart program and like what sessions there are, and I kind of went through a lot of them. Morning, Jane. I went through a lot of them, whether it's cardio, stretch, muscle strengthening, Pilates, yoga, Tai Chi, bar. There's such a range of exercises, right? From, just body weight, using weights. Do you not? Do you just do cardio? If you look at old school women's magazines, it's full of, eat as little as you can and run, basically. You look at a guy's magazine and it's full of eat as much protein as you can and lift weights. Conflicting. But what's the best? The best is, I'm going to answer the question first, because this goal was to lose weight. So the best on paper is just to do something that burns the most calories / you enjoy, so that you can keep it up. And that's because, based on what we know, a calorie deficit is the key thing to lose weight. We know that already, energy in, energy out. But also, although exercise is a rubbish way to lose weight on its own, like without the nutrition, because on its own as a calorie burner, it doesn't burn as many calories as you think. For example, if you go sit on a exercise bike for 40 minutes, you'll probably earn yourself 3/4 of an apple-ish, depending on how hard you go, of course. But it's quite actually like, oh, what's the point? But actually, when you consider this, that I nearly slipped then. the main thing, determinant factor, morning Caroline, the main factor that determines whether someone can keep the weight off, and this is like studies that look at 2 years, 5 years, post losing 10 kilos or more, the main thing is that someone's in a real exercise routine, so that they exercise regularly. And when it comes to exercising regularly, there's a key theme in that you've probably got to do something you enjoy, or, and this is fine, you can change it up, or you can just get very good at selling the benefits of doing it, so enjoying the benefits of it to the extent where you enjoy the benefits of it that outweigh how hard it is to do it. So what are you avoiding by actually by doing it? What happens in 5 years' time if you stopped exercising? What happens in 5 years' time if you stop exercising? What happens if you don't start exercising? So that's a bit of background in terms of the weight loss. It's a calories game. So in terms of things to get your calories up, that doesn't mean do high intensity though. And this is what I want to touch on now. Because if you think about a high intensity session, they're great, by the way, they're good calorie burners. They do burn a lot of calories. But at the same time, if you've got mobility issues or any impact exercise, or you're just not ready for it yet, you'll put it off and you probably won't do it. Plus, you might burn a lot of calories for the 20 minutes, but then what if you're so stiff you can't move all day? So it's getting the balance right. For example, I've started walking a lot more places. Like before, to be fair to me, I would carry around a lot of equipment, but I don't do that anymore. Mainly because we don't do boxing in this current environment, of course, in our workout. So I don't have any boxing gloves to carry around, because we'd use a punch bag. And morning Tracy, and as a result of that, there's no excuse for me not to walk more places. And I've now increased my steps from about 5,000 a day to about 12 to 15,000 a day, just from doing everyday journeys that I'd normally do, and also doing things like this, walking while talking, walking whilst writing an email, walking whilst writing, emailing, phoning someone. As a result of that, I've just committed to being someone who does more exercise, and actually sometimes that takes a lot more pressure off this whole what's the best exercise thing. Is it perfect? Is it the right thing for me? Now I want to touch on something else, because when people say weight loss, and when we all say weight loss, quite often when we get into it, there's often a deeper meaning, whether it's health related, whether that's blood pressure, cholesterol, whether that's disease risk, whether that's your immune system, whether that's fitting into your favourite clothes, toning up. There's often a deeper reason behind it, whether that's playing with the grandkids, whatever it is. And when you actually consider that, what do you need to make sure to be able to do that? Well, in a world where we've completely changed our jobs from being very manual based to sedentary, so we're not using our muscles as much as we once were, the result of that is that we lose some muscle. You look at dietary habits, more convenience foods are generally lower in protein, which is another issue, and it's kind of gearing us up for muscle loss, which is known as sarcopenia. I actually did a podcast with Fruci, who's actually looking at protein, muscle strengthening exercises, and in populations who've just had cardiac events and their recovery from that. And it's really interesting to ever look at stuff. Do follow him. He was on the podcast. I can share the podcast below if you want. And it's looking at what muscle loss with age, and actually how it's exciting that the old phrase of use it or lose it really comes into mind. And if you look at muscle, it's correlated with like a lower disease risk with diabetes, for example, cardiovascular disease. All points in the right direction, not to mention your quality of life. If you have more strength, muscle, you tend to be able to do more, you tend to be able to move more. That can then help with your weight, maybe even satiety in terms of how full you feel and how at one you are with your hunger levels. Because what we do know is that the more sedentary we are, as in the less we move, the more we're at a desk, the worse our ability is to manage our hunger levels, which is really interesting. And I noticed that too. And some of the ladies mentioned the other day, they said, when I exercise in the evening, I tend to not be as hungry. Whether that's boredom related, from, sitting in the evening, who knows. Anyway, a few things to touch on there with the best type of exercise. Find something you enjoy. Sell the benefits if you don't, because I'll be honest, I don't really enjoy exercise. I can't say that, I can't wait to do these exercises today. I love the feeling of having exercised, because it gives me so much more energy. I'm better to be around, I'm more productive. And I do feel that I manage my food better when I've exercised. Whether that's placebo or not, because I know the research, who knows? But I'll take it anyway. And in my opinion, based on the research, I would try and get at least some muscle strengthening exercise in. And the funny thing is this is actually a government recommendation as well, but they don't even... It's very hard to implement because you're kind of saying to someone, do the muscle strengthening exercise, but then you're not giving them the advice. Like, you can't go to the GP and they won't give you a training program, for obvious reasons. So it's very hard. So the easy option, and the more practical option, if I'm perfectly honest, is for them to go, just walk more. And that's great too. But obviously trying to get some muscle strengthening exercise in so that you're making sure you're preventing muscle loss with age, and also getting the benefits of insulin sensitivity, being able to do more, getting up and down from the floor, making everyday tasks easier, from running faster to your recovery. So, I hope that helps. I've gone on a bit now. Best get ready for our morning total body bar and then yoga. So, take care and speak soon.